Hi, I'm Rachel,
And hi, I'm Anna.
and today we are doing episode 5 of our 20 something take podcast. This week's episode is all about how to stay positive and productive during the quarantine because we know all of you guys are probably experiencing like some sort of quarantine slump or just trying to, get through quarantine the best you can. So, we're going to be talking about some of the ways that we stay positive, stay upbeat, and then also some of the ways that we've been trying to build out our skill sets and, challenge ourselves mentally even though we are stuck inside of a box sort of all day. So, yeah. I think we can kind of start out with how we've currently been feeling, especially during the quarantine. I think it's important to address our mental health and like how we're doing just as people in general. Anna, how have you been feeling during quarantine? We're currently on what day? I don't even know at this point.
I think we're like 3 months in. Yeah, I remember we came back like mid March was like when shelter in place started here
Mhm.
in the Bay Area. Like I guess all of not all of California, but like basically.
Yeah.
I think I'm like feeling better now. I think like the first month of quarantine, I was like pretty depressed, not gonna lie. Like I think the first month was like kind of like an adjustment to like being home. I mean, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, like moving back home with my parents. It was more of like, oh, like it was so sudden. Like we had like we thought like spring quarter and like the rest of the year would have been in LA. Like those were the plans, and like then I would come back in June and everything. So like kind of just having that like disruption was kind of like hard in the beginning. And then like in the beginning it was kind of like depressing just to, like watch the news about how like healthcare workers and people didn't have enough like PPE and like we didn't have masks, things like that. So like, and then you would just see the numbers go up and like how people are like getting tested and dying and things like that. So I think like the first month I was kind of just really down about everything, but then like things started getting better because I think I started like accepting quarantine more. Like I'm like an introvert, so like I'm kind of a natural homebody already, so it wasn't like, oh, like I need to leave the house or anything. I guess I found like things to do more, which we'll talk about later. So that kind of like brought me up, and like, I mean, my friends are always here, like Rachel, and we like talk on the phone every week. So that made me feel better. So nowadays it's like more hopeful that like, things will be better. And like now that there's like talks about like a vaccine, things like that, even though there's like a second spike right now. But hopefully like, like there'll be a vaccine and like things will hopefully get better soon.
True. I think, yeah, I had like a similar sort of evolution of emotions and feelings. I think at the beginning it was more of like a panic, and more of like what's going on? Like there's so much information and news going on, and like everyone's talking about coronavirus, like what's happening, what's real, what's not real. So for me, it was more of like like all this information, trying to sift through it, kind of like panicking and being like, who's at risk, who's not at risk, and then seeing all these people like getting impacted, and like dying, etc. That was really scary, and like hearing, constantly like new notifications on my phone about new articles or new stories about the coronavirus that like I think it was a lot of stuff that we didn't know about the virus yet, so like new information was constantly coming out, and like you would hear about all these like different countries and how they're dealing with it, so it was just like all across the board, like lots of different things going on. So like just being able to deal with all that was like really scary, I think, at the beginning, and it was also very depressing because a lot of people were dying, and like in New York it was really bad, especially. And so now I think that was kind of the initial phase that I had, and then now that's been like a couple months, I think things have like definitely like not cool. Like, I mean, that's, I don't want to say like cooled down because it's still a very serious issue, but like I guess I freak out about it less, and it's a little bit more like, okay, this is now our new day to day. I've sort of accepted it, which I don't know if it's like a good thing or not. But I accepted that this is kind of like the way my life is, and this is kind of the way things operate now. And there's really not much I can do to change it, except like wear a mask and hope things get better. And then I think I'm sort of starting to enter this phase of like frustration, but not like frustration because like we're not out of quarantine, because I completely understand the circumstances. But I think we're like experiencing sort of a second wave. And I think a lot of that is just because I think some people are really just dumb and like not wearing masks or going out to like public places and like gathering at the beach or like going to like, I don't know, just gathering in large groups of people. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, this could all have been avoided if we had really just like stayed on our game and like, you know, quarantined very seriously. And if we all took it very seriously, this wouldn't have been an issue. So I guess I'm kind of like edging up, like, you know, I was like panicking, and then I reached like a level of complacency, and now I'm kind of going to this like point of like a little bit of annoyance and frustration at people who are making this an experience like longer than it needs to be. So I'm like, I don't know. I think it fluctuates a lot, but I definitely am feeling a lot better now than I was like kind of at the beginning, I would say. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I've been currently. But you know, given our current emotions, I guess, or like, I mean, given our current emotions now and the emotions that we've been through, I think we have always like tried to stay positive. And we've done it kind of in our own different ways, in our own different hobbies or kind of activities that we've picked up during quarantine. So I think we kind of just want to share some of those with you guys, and maybe you guys will learn a little bit and maybe get some inspiration for things you can do during the quarantine. And maybe that'll help you guys out. So all right, so to start, I think one thing that I've definitely been doing in order to stay positive is, for me, I've always really loved baking and cooking a lot. I'm more of a baker than a cooker, or cook, whatever it is. But I've definitely been experimenting with more difficult recipes, working with like yeast or like bread or other types of things like cinnamon rolls, cheesecakes, etc. So I've been like really just kind of going crazy, trying new things in regards to baking. And then in terms of cooking, I've never been like the biggest cook or anything like that, but I've tried to cook a lot for my family when I was at home in the Bay Area. So I would make dinner for everyone, which was really fun. And I think like I tried a lot of new recipes, things that I like would have thought, you know, oh, I don't have time to make, or things that are like, this looks too difficult and too time intensive. But the one nice thing about quarantine is that, well, I have a lot of time, and I kind of want to challenge myself and like, you know, kind of challenge my brain a little bit, since I'm not in school and I'm not really doing anything. So I'm like, why don't I try a new recipe, whether that be cooking or baking? And most of the things that I've made have, you know, turned out somewhat successfully, and not all of them have been perfect, but they definitely have been really fun to just experiment with, because it's kind of a good way to stay at home, but also try something new. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rachel is like a professional baker. Like she talks
Oh.
about it like a hobby, but like she's like really good at it. So like don't yeah, she like makes like
No,
really cool stuff, and she has a whole YouTube channel on it. So
I just
go
try.
follow.
No, no, I just try really hard, but it's not successful. But thank you, Anna.
Rachel is like the OG baker before everyone hopped on this like banana bread, yeast bread baking thing in quarantine.
Oh my
I'm just gonna
God.
call people out now.
You do it, Anna. You do it. I support this. I love it.
I mean, like I enjoy baking, but like I'm not very good at it, and I don't do it that
That's not
often.
true.
But I guess in quarantine, I've done it a few times, but it's more of just like muffins or like things that my parents will eat, because I feel like before when I baked, I would like give it to my friends, or like in high school, I would like give it to my softball team, things like that. So like could share it, but like it's just me and my parents, and my parents like don't really eat sweets. It's like if I bake something, we're gonna be it's just gonna be me eating it, which I also don't really, because I feel like baking, it's like for me, like I think the joy of it is like the process of baking and like mixing and just like having a good time doing it versus like the end product. So that's, yeah, I mean, I consider these hobbies. I'm gonna put quotes on it, because I feel like I never like consider things hobbies, because like I don't do it often enough where I feel like it's a part of me, because I feel like some people like they do a lot of things and they really enjoy it, but I'm always like lukewarm about a lot of things, or like I don't commit to it, so I don't call it a hobby. But like I think recently in quarantine everyone's been like trying to like discover their hobbies. And like I low-key had that identity crisis too, where I was like, yeah, I'm really not that interesting. Like we were talking about our like when we were brainstorming this episode, I was like, what do I do every day that I could like actually tell people about? But I mean, in quarantine, I've been trying to do more crafts. I've always enjoyed like making things, artsy things that I see on Pinterest, but like I'm not that good. It's always like the things you see on Pinterest, and then mine is like the fail one.
That's not true, Anna. That is not true at all. Please see your grad cap
Oh my god, I
for
get
the
to
class
finally
of
feature
2020.
it. I get to feature it because I forgot to do it the last episode. It's also really dark right now, so I don't know if you can
Oh
see.
no, it looks great.
This is Royce Hall and the balloons from Up, because Up is like my favorite movie, and
Aww.
I think I just like the adventure vibes because I feel like college was an adventure. So painting that was like super fun. I mean, it gave me something to do for a whole day, and like I don't usually paint. I remember me and Rachel, we did a paint day like in February, and then we did like Color Me Mine back
9
then.
hours.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, we're gonna paint for like 2 or 3 hours. Turns into like a whole day of it. But it was great. Like 100% loved it. Had so much fun.
Yeah. So I'm like, I guess painting is something I want to like work on. I don't know, because I think the painting I do is more of like I draw and then I like use it to color versus like freehand painting, which is like totally different and not on a level that I will be on.
No, girl, it is all the same. Painting is painting. I feel that.
Yeah. And I guess a new hobby that I guess me and Rachel share now is making podcasts, even though we haven't made that many, but I think it's like pretty fun just to talk about things. And like I feel like I've always been like I have like so much anxiety when I talk. I don't like get super nervous when I talk. So I'm like, oh, this is like a way to like practice my public speaking and like practice talking about myself and like practice not saying like so much when I hear all these recordings of it. Yeah. But I guess Rachel, you can talk about how you've been listening to more podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely been listening to more podcasts myself, but when I say that, I listen to just one podcast exclusively, which is Asian Boss Girl, and that's like the only podcast I listen to. I don't really listen to any other ones, but that's because I've been going on a lot of walks recently because I don't really exercise at all. Like I tried the Chloe Ting workout for like maybe a week and I didn't last at all. So I've just been listening to Asian Boss Girl while I go on like walks in the neighborhood because that's like my equivalent of daily exercise, I guess you could say. And so I feel like it's more insightful because I got a little bit tired of, I love music, I love listening to music, but like I got a little tired of listening to like the same old songs over and over again while I go on my like hour-long walk or whatever. So I'm like, okay, like let's learn about something else. And like ABG or Asian Boss Girl has been really informative for me, and like I think a lot of the content I can relate to, and like maybe even some of our listeners can relate to a lot of their content too, because they're around like 20 or 30 something year old women and they're Asian American as well. So it's really interesting to hear their insight, I would say. So I've been doing that. And then I'm not as much of a crafter as Anna is, but I did try to get into a little bit more of like painting while I was at home in the Bay Area as well. So I did like 1 or 2 paintings. I did like a painting. Oh, it's over there. I'm not gonna get it. But I did a painting for like an anime background called Your Name. So I like drew the sky and it was like kind of fun. So yeah, that's fun. And if you watched our movie podcast, you'll know I've talked about Your Name, I think, on there as well. So love that movie. Great shout out to that movie. Okay, and then I'm trying to think about what else I do kind of to stay positive. I guess another thing is kind of like having game nights with a lot of my friends. I think that's been a really fun way to stay connected with everyone, keep in touch, but then also kind of like have fun. So I've been playing a lot of like online games. So you could do like Scribbler, which is like this drawing game. It's kind of like Pictionary. It's really fun. It's for free. Or like a lot of Jackbox games on Steam. It's really fun. And then some of my friends have been like starting Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm doing that now, which I never thought I would do. But I think it's a really good way to like, just connect with people, because like you obviously like have to set up a Zoom time or like a time to like all hang out, and then like it's not all just like playing the game. You guys just talk and like catch up, etc. And then I've also been playing a little bit of like video games on like the Nintendo Switch, because we have like a TV now. So like the other day I was playing Zelda, and like Overcooked is always really fun because it's like one of those team games, or just like Mario Kart, things like that. So it's like been a fun way to kind of still interact with your friends. And then like if you're the kind of person who likes to do something when you're with your friends but you can't do something because it's quarantine, like I feel like a video game is the next best way to do that. So yeah, I mean, Anna, I know you said that like FaceTiming and calling with people have been kind of keeping you positive as well. Do you want to, I guess, elaborate on that one?
Yeah, I mean, also similar to you, like I'll play games with my friends too. Like we recently played, actually just yesterday, we played Monopoly Deal, but coronavirus edition. I was so confused the whole time because I don't even know how to play Monopoly Deal originally. But like that was fun, and like I'm like really bad at games. So I feel like everyone who's like on my team is like not having a good time when that happens. But like sometimes we'll play like Spyfall, and like I can never lie about being the spy. But like that's fun, and like I think like FaceTiming and calling people is like a good way to like stay social, and like just catch up about random things. Like sometimes, like I mean every week like me and Rachel like talk on the phone for like an hour, 2 hours, and like we'll talk about like random things that used to happen, or like quarantine catch ups, even though there's like literally nothing happening in my life. I'll literally tell her like I literally told her that like I had a stomach ache for the past day, but it's fine.
That is content. That is news. Those are updates. Those all count.
I was like, I'll not go into details because a little TMI on that. But yeah, so I think it's just like hearing people's voices like keeps me like sane almost. I feel like because we can't like, meet up face to face with people, hang out with people like that anymore. But it's like knowing that like there's someone to talk to still, people who like are definitely down to like hang out and still like be your support system, which is really good during this time. I guess another thing I do is like watch TV with my parents. I guess I do it more now because like my parents will like watch like Chinese dramas or whatever, and like I'll just go to the living room and watch it with them, which I think is like nice because I guess like when I was away for college, like we don't watch TV together. Like even when I come home, like we'd rather like eat together, like go out and do things together. But like now it's like, oh, we have so much time to like do hobbies together. I'm a quote
Yes.
unquote that again. I don't think my parents consider watching TV a hobby. But yeah, and I guess another thing I do is like, I guess I mentioned this in like a previous episode, how I do like my one line a day. And I told Rachel this, that how since quarantine started, my one line a day would start with like, this is quarantine day X, and like yesterday was like quarantine day 103. So very exciting. But I guess like keeping like this journal kind of keeps like, makes me like think back on what I actually did each day, like try to do something if I haven't done anything interesting the past few days, to try to do something interesting now. A day is still a day. Like when I look back, I hopefully have good stuff to read on there. I was like, wait, do you have other hobbies to talk about?
Oh yes. Sorry. Yeah,
Wait.
I guess, or I can talk about TV shows. I think I can do that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do I need to transition?
It's okay. I can do it. I think you can do it.
Okay. I was like,
no, yeah. No, it was kind of rough because you have more hobbies, and I'm just like, I don't have any
no,
hobbies.
I like freaked out because I was like reading the lines, and I'm like, she already talked about this though.
Okay. Okay. So similar to Anna, I have found like watching TV with my family to be kind of like a hobby or a pastime that we'll do together. And like for me, we watched, or for my family, we watched like Crash Landing on You, which is like a really popular K-drama on Netflix together. And it was really cute and like really fun. And I had already watched the entire thing. I like binged it during like finals week because I was like so obsessed with it. But then I was like, my family has to see this show. It's so funny. So we like all rewatched it together, and we would wait for each other to all be home in order to like watch an episode, or wait for everyone to be free to watch an episode. And so it was like such kind of like a fun experience where we all got to like sit in front of the TV every night. Well, not every night, but like as many nights as we could. And then we'd all be like, oh my God, is it time for Crash Landing? So it was kind of fun to do that. And then we started like watching other shows together after that, which was fun as well. And then I guess like even now, like even though I'm in LA, so I'm not, with my family exactly, but I am with my roommates. So we'll like watch TV shows together. We've been watching this show called The Haunting of Hill House, which is kind of like a horror TV show, but it's actually really interesting. It's really cool, and I've been learning. Actually, I've not been learning a lot. I've just been freaked out a lot. But I don't know. I think I've definitely been watching a lot more like Netflix than I normally would because I have the time, or like if I'm having a lunch break, like I'm like, oh, let's watch an episode of like this show, blah blah blah. So I don't know. I've been definitely consuming a lot more content than I have been lately, and I think I don't know. It's like it's a good way to just kind of like if you've seen someone a lot, then like it's like a good way to like watch something new and just like watch it together, because it's like you don't always have to have a conversation, because sometimes it's like there's nothing really to talk about anymore. So it's good to just watch a show together, and I feel like in that way you're still connected and you're still like present, but you guys are like watching something new and learning something new. So definitely TV shows are keeping me upbeat and happy during this time too. So I think now that we've addressed like TV shows and all of that and our hobbies, quote unquote, we can probably move on to some of the things that we would say would make us like more productive. And I guess we can also talk about kind of like our day-to-day routines during quarantine, like what we do when we wake up, so like what we do when we go to bed. I think for me, in terms of the first thing I think of in terms of being productive is that I've really been able to kind of pick up and brush up on like my video editing skills, as well as like some of my design skills. I have been like playing around with the Adobe Creative Suite a lot more than I used to, and I've been like Googling like ways to do neat tricks or like ways to do cool edits and things like that. And that's like something I'd always wanted to do, or like things I would see on other people's videos and be like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that. But then I would just like never have the time because of school or something that would get in the way. So now I'm like, I've got time. So like I have no excuse to like not learn. So I'll go on YouTube and like watch videos and see if I can figure it out myself. So I've been doing a lot of like fun projects just kind of for me. So I think that's been a good experience. That's been like something I've been using to kind of kill the time, and then also to kind of like be more productive. And then Anna, like what have you, I mean, I know you've got like a whole list of things that you've also been kind of doing to stay productive during this time. So I don't know if you want to talk about any of those.
Yeah. I mean, Rachel knows because I complain to her about this like all the time, but I'm studying for my CPA right now, which is like these accounting exams, and kind of rough because I don't even like study this much in college for my classes. So I like it's like kind of rough because I need to like sit down and study for like a couple hours a day, but my attention span is like super short. But I think the more that I do it, it's like the longer I can sit down and do it for, which is like good. And I think it's like keeping me, in check, and like my brain is like not wilting because like I actually have like academic material to like study. So like my day kind of revolves around it. I mean, not like revolves, but like I study much better during the day. So like I'll study in the morning and like the early afternoon because I realize I can no longer study at night like how I used to in college. So I think it kind of helps me like plan out my schedule, like how we talked about our day to day. Like I like like my alarm goes off at like 8:30 because I'd like try to get up early, and then I usually like get up by 9 and like eat breakfast because now I cannot. I don't know. Like since coming home, it's like different because my life is like more scheduled versus in college I would like wake up whenever and just go to class and not eat. But now I'm like, okay, I need to like eat, and then like by 10 I'll like start studying usually, and then I mean, I don't study all day. I'm not trying to make myself sound super productive because I'm not. I'm not gonna lie to you guys about that. But so it's like breaks here and there, and then like, I mean, by the time it's like 4, I'm like, all right, time to like go on my phone and like shower, eat dinner with my parents, and then we like watch TV together. And like after that, it's kind of like me time, things to do. So, and I just like, sometimes I like FaceTime people or watch YouTube. Like the other day, I watched people make grad caps for 3 hours, and I was like super entertained, even though that sounds so boring. And then I think another thing is like I've been reading more. I think part of it is like reading like news more and like trying to stay up to date about like Corona or like the economy or whatever's going on. Because I think before I would like not really care about current events, but now it's like, oh, I think I should, especially now because I have so much time to do it. And also like reading for fun more, which is like more on the hobby side. But I think it like keeps me more like trying to stay woke on certain levels. I mean, I've been reading more of like self-improvement books. Like I read one on like what to do, like your defining decade is like your 20s. I know a lot of people have been reading that book. And I'm reading like kind of like how like self-talk affects how you act. So kind of like you don't need to you need to stop like negative self-talk, which I think is like a pretty good book. And then I started reading Becoming from Michelle Obama. And okay, I remember last year when me and Rachel lived together.
You've been reading this book forever.
Did not pick it up ever since that like chapter 1.
We had we had one night where we had like a book reading night. I remember that, and you were reading that book, and it has been a long time coming.
I will let you know I never touched it again after that night. Oh, so I retouched it, and it's like really interesting because I'm like, oh, it's like talking about her story. So I'm like, okay, this kind of makes me feel also more hopeful because I guess like, we for her it's like, okay, I'm not gonna talk about the book, but like I think it's just like good things to like, I don't know, the way like having things structured out for my day, I feel like makes me feel like I'm getting things done, even though I might not be getting like a lot of things done in quantity wise, but it's like, every day you can do something better to like be better at it. Because I know like the first month of quarantine, I was like not feeling it, barely studying, just like going on my phone all day, and my screen time was like super high. But now it's like dropping, so much better now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think similar to you, Anna, like I've tried to create like a day-to-day routine or schedule for myself, but it has been like fluctuating a little bit. But I would say like this past week and a half or so, I've like kind of created more of a routine, and I think this will be my routine probably at least till the end of August. But I kind of similarly try and wake up early around like 8:30, 8:45. So I technically am like working right now, and my job starts at 9, but it's been pretty slow because I'm still like in the training process and still like learning the ropes and everything. So I think things will definitely pick up as I get more experience. But right now it's been pretty slow, I'm not gonna lie. So I'll like log in at like 9, and then usually no one will need anything from me. So I will then like spend the next half an hour getting ready. So I'll like sometimes take a shower, brush my teeth, whatever, do what I need, obviously my day to day. I'll put on my makeup, etc. Because sometimes that just makes me feel a little bit more alive, especially if I have meetings. And then usually that'll take me until like 9:30 or 10, and then around 10 to like 10:45 I'll like apply for more jobs or just like do like career resume editing type of things, because like my job right now is sort of temporary, it's not like a permanent thing, so I'm looking more for like permanent roles. So I'll like spend a good like 45 minutes to an hour like applying for more jobs, looking for opportunities and different things and reaching out to people on LinkedIn, trying to network, etc. Check my emails, all that jazz. And then after that I have like a daily meeting at 10:45, so I'll like go to my meeting, do my meeting, and then usually I'll have like training or something like that for a couple hours, so that'll take me until like lunchtime, and I'll eat lunch, maybe around like 1 or 12:30. And then after I eat lunch, usually I'll like, if I have some meetings, then I'll like take more meetings. If I don't have meetings, then I usually just like clean my apartment. I don't really know like if that's like super exciting. I'll do some video editing and I'll also like clean my apartment, which is like weird because like cleaning the apartment doesn't seem that fun, but somehow my apartment gets really messy like all the time, so I'm like constantly cleaning it. So got to do like the day-to-day upkeep, because we don't have like house cleaners or anything, or I don't have like my mom to help me out or anything, so just gotta clean. So clean apartment, and then like by 4 or 5 is like kind of when I start getting restless and I'm like, I need to get out of the house. So I try and go on like a daily walk. Maybe I'll walk to campus. Sometimes I will walk to like the Beverly Hills side of Westwood, so like through the bougie neighborhoods, because I'm like, wow, this is fun, and think about all the homes that I cannot afford, and that'll be like an hour, and I'll listen to a podcast while I'm walking, or I'll like talk to someone like Anna or like whoever I'm calling. So I'll do that for like an hour, and then I'll come back and I'll try and like cook dinner, and then the rest of the evening is like chill, like maybe like, just me time, like go on my phone, watch YouTube videos, maybe watch some TV shows with my roommates, etc. Like just basically turn off my brain is what it is. So that's kind of like my day to day. And yeah, I think like having a routine has been really helpful for me, just because I'm like a creature of habit, so I definitely enjoy that. But that being said, like, I definitely enjoy the weekends too, because like my routine gets a little bit shaken up. I can do whatever I want. I think it's like weird because you don't really value the weekend. Well, before I was working, I like didn't really care if it was the weekend or weekday, because I was like, it's all the same to me at this point. But now I'm like, the weekends are so nice. So that's like my current stage and like where I'm at, I guess you could say. So yeah, I guess that's like in a nutshell what I've been doing to stay productive during the quarantine, having like a routine, trying to like build in some like daily things that I always do, whether that be like improving my video editing skills, or my design skills, or trying to like brush up on my resume and like my interviewing skills, all of those types of things. So kind of just like a little bit of self-improvement here and there. And like Anna, I've actually been trying to stay on the news as well, but I haven't been doing a super great job of it. So I like will try and listen to like NPR or like the New York Times Daily on Spotify every morning. They have like 10-minute snippets. I'll just give you like a recap of the news from the night before or the past 24 hours, which I think is really helpful, because they just go through like the top stories every day, and they're like, okay, here's what you need to know, which is good, because like for me, sometimes I'll play that while I'm like brushing my teeth or like getting ready or putting on my makeup, and I'm like, okay, now I feel woke and like somewhat informed, even though I still don't know what's happening in the world. But yeah, so that's like another thing I try to build into my routine as well. But it's like somewhat successful. Sometimes I forget. So it depends on the day. But yeah, I think that's kind of me in a nutshell. Cool. So I think we can kind of wrap up this conversation with some of our end thoughts and hopes for the future, in terms of like how we can stay productive, stay positive, I guess, and like how we think these hobbies or these like activities that we're doing now are going to last, or how they're going to help us get through the rest of quarantine. Anna, do you have any thoughts, I guess, for the future? Yeah. Wait, I can't hear you. Oh no.
Oh,
There
hello.
you go.
Yeah, I know like in our last episode, we kind of talked about like our hopes for like post corona. So like those still apply, of course. But I guess in terms of like the things we do, I mean, I hope our hobbies continue, of course. And I hope we like continue to like put in the effort to do them, because I know like even like when things get better, like after quarantine, like we're most likely going to be working and having like a legit 9 to 5 adult life, or maybe more than that, who knows. So it might be hard to like put in time to do these things, but hopefully like we like still find the time to do them here and there. And I don't know, I mean, I feel like we're going to be in quarantine for a while, so kind of like having a plan to like build certain hobbies would be good. Like I know for me, like my Pinterest board, I'll like save things that I want to do, and like I like went to Michael's the other day to like get stuff. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll like get this done, or else it's like just gonna sit at home anyway. So um, yeah.
So yeah, my final thoughts are very similar to Anna's. I think it's just going to be important to maintain and preserve these like sort of hobbies that we like, or these sort of self-improvement type things, whether that be like watching the news or trying to like pick up new skills, or study or things like that. I just want to be able to like consistently do these things even once we have our like 9 to 5 jobs, we're going into the office, things like that, because that'll definitely be like a big change in our schedules and a shift in our lives. But I definitely want to still carve out time for me and like still intellectually like challenge myself in terms of like passion projects and things, because I think it's really easy. Like, I think we've mentioned this before too, but like to kind of turn off your brain after work and just be like, I am a zombie and like now I don't want to like do anything and like not challenge myself, and I just want to sit in front of a TV and like turn off my brain completely. But I think it's also important to be like, you have your work, but then you also have like things you like and you care about and are passionate about. So like really pushing yourself to like further those could be helpful too. So I think that's like something that's really important, and looking forward towards the future. I definitely want to be able to continue all the hobbies that make me feel positive and productive. So yeah.
So this wraps up our fifth episode of a 20 something take. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about our hobbies and how we've been staying productive during quarantine, and hopefully you guys are having your own routines and like having things that keep you guys productive and positive during these times too. um, so thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.